Welcome back, everyone, to It's Lights, Camera, Action, Make Our World Your Runway. You know, this is the weekly show that interviews the most fascinating individuals from the world of modeling, pageantry, business, beauty, and even the entertainment industry. And today we are going to cover pretty much all of those industries. But before that, we like to give the sponsors a shout out because they make the show so possible every week. And that's the Global Trade Chamber, 100 Successful Women in Business, Lux Salon, Queen Beauty Network, Tower Club, Royal Dames, Vita Designs, Casa Calabria, and the Bangladesh American Chamber of Commerce. So, sponsors, once again, thank you so much for making the show possible every week. And as always, we do want to tell our viewers to make sure that you tune in to the Global Trade Chamber YouTube channel so that you can see all the shows from Make Our World Your Runway and Success Stories. And of course, I always tell you, in addition to Make Our World Your Runway, we want to tell you to tune in to Success Stories because you are going to hear stories from some amazing women that have started from humble beginnings and have become successful entrepreneurs and doing wonderful things in the community today. So once again, remember to subscribe to the Global Trade Chamber YouTube channel so that you can see all the shows from Make Our World Your Runway and Success Stories. And of course, get ready for some exciting conferences, speakers, and awards as the Global Trade Chamber and 100 Successful Women in Business are going to come to a city near you. And that city we're coming to is Sunrise, Florida on May the 14th. It's going to be a Women Business Expo. It's a full day of business conferences, networking, and conferences designed to help women grow, scale, and lead. And it's going to be from 9 a.m. until 4 p.m. in the afternoon. Now, take it from me, these shows are always a total sellout. So if you want to attend, it is a free event, but you must register. So make sure you go to the email, event@globaltradechamber.com, or you can dial 954-893-8866 for all the information. Once again, the email, event@globaltradechamber.com or 954-839-8866. And you can not only attend as a free event, but if you want to be a speaker and you also want to be an exhibitor, there's opportunities there for you as well. So once again, please go and register because I'm telling you, these shows sell out way in advance. So we do want to see you there. And of course, Make Our World Your Runway always goes live at these events. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to give you a little information about the guest that we are about to bring on. Okay, she is a high performance mindset and leadership development expert, international speaker, and newly appointed ambassador for women's empowerment initiatives. With over 30 years of healthcare leadership and a decade of transformational coaching, she is known for helping leaders master their internal world to create extraordinary external events. And she is recognized as a top 10 female CEO to watch by the LA Tribune. She empowers entrepreneurs, executives, and organizations to expand their impact, influence, and income. Her work bridges emotional intelligence with high performance strategy to build legacy driven success. So, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, please welcome Janelle Kelly to Make Our World Your Runway. Welcome, Janelle.
Hello, Angela. How are you?
I'm good. How you doing, dear? I hope you had a great weekend.
I did. It was amazing. It's so good to be here. Thank you so much for this opportunity to share this time with you. No better way to kick off Q2.
Yeah, I know because we both run on different sides of the world, right?
Yes.
It's true. And you know, I always thought I was very much involved with women's empowerment, but I think you've got me beat. You take the cake on that.
I don't know. It just, it's funny when you start following your passion, right? I just keep going and it's amazing the doors that open and where it leads. So this wasn't it's funny, my whole life, none of my career has been something where it was like planned in my head. It's like that is exactly what I want to do or what I want to be. But that bigger vision's always been there to just really create an impact and build community with people.
Yeah, well, I've been doing the same thing. You know, you always want to, I always tell people it's not about me. I come up with an idea, I start it, but it's always about, the women that I do empower or the people that I empower to make sure that whatever I'm doing, they have the same opportunities and I can open that door and they can go through that door. And I like that's what you do. And of course, our mutual friend Christine does exactly the same thing.
Yes, exactly. And so it's been beautiful because it wasn't that way for me always. It was big changes in the last decade of my life where I really, the level of my consciousness just increased and doors open and seeing the world completely different. And at first it was about a little bit more about me and my journey, and that transition, right? Of getting out of healthcare and going into online sales and just seeing something different. And that led down a whole different path. But it was about me because I was in the struggle of things. I was in the healing and going through the dark night of the soul. And then once I got through that to a degree, then I understood differently. And it is 100% about creating space for everyone else to now get to shine and have their journey. And it was, if it wasn't for the people who went before me, I wouldn't be where I am. So the role has kind of changed a little bit now.
Exactly. And I've gone through some of that myself. I've gone through some personal struggles, health struggles, but I always said in my mind, I'm not giving up. I think I've got,
Hmm.
I think I've got my mother's stamina. I mean, God bless her. She lived to 94 years old.
Wow,
She,
that's
she,
wonderful.
yeah, she was even driving a car at 93. And at 94, what impressed me about her, she could get on her bathroom floor every day and scrub that floor. I mean, yeah, she got in a minor fender bender where she had to do a little bit of rehab. And they could not believe, the therapist couldn't believe how agile she was at that age. But
So good.
she was always trying to, my mother never gave up. And it's a shame because if it wasn't for World War II, she would have gone into the Olympics. She was a professional swimmer.
Mm.
And I believe if she didn't get the gold medal, I believe she would have got some sort of a medal because she was unbelievable. In Jersey, where I grew up, I was born and raised there, and especially Seaside Heights, you'd have, I mean, this is almost like 3 miles long. You'd have one pier and the other pier. She
Hmm.
swam the whole thing. And that's how she taught me to swim. Yeah. And then later on, she was a professional bowler. She was on the wide world of sports because she rolled the 600 series.
Wow.
So I think that's where I get some of my stamina from. She could go through anything. I've seen her be sick. I saw her take care of my father when my father was very ill. No, she'd get back up on her feet and the next day start all over again.
That's incredible. There's something that athletes have that. That's one thing I
Yes.
know when I can tell when I met somebody who is like either a collegiate athlete or something in their life, they have a consistency in them and a commitment and drive I think it's got to be they're born with that a little bit, right? But anyone who's been in leadership and who has been a mentor or a guide or people I've worked beside, I'm just like when they then share that they were an athlete, I'm like, oh, of course you were. Like you have those traits. There's specific traits that they have that I've had to work to build in myself, but somehow they've had those traits with them for a long time in their life, and that's where they get their success from.
Exactly, exactly. And it's so funny. My husband always says to me, "How can you go to bed at 2 in the morning and pop up at 6?" I said, "Because I said there's always something in my mind. Okay, my wheels are always turning. All right,
Hmm.
and that's why I keep a pad by my bed because I'll get up at 2 o'clock in the morning. And say, oh wait a minute, I just thought of this idea, and I'll write it down so I don't forget it for the following morning. Something's always coming up. But I'm one of these people. My head hits a pillow. I could sleep for an hour and you think I slept for 8 hours. Once my head hits,
Hmm.
I'm a sound sleeper. Okay. You could be banging the pots. You could have the TV, the octaves up. No, I'm not going to hear a thing. Once I'm out, I'm out. So,
Well,
uh,
that's because you get up and you're using your brain like all day and you're being creative, right? There were times same thing. When I go to bed now, it's not till very late and like you, I wake up
right.
early, but it wasn't always like that for me.
No,
There was moments when, when I'm in flow and I'm connected and I'm driven, like I looked at my Q1 and just I'm not boasting or bragging. I'm literally just I looked at it was like, oof. I did
right.
more this Q1 than I have done before in an entire year, right? And then I was like mapped out my Q2 and I thought, girl, there's another year in that Q2. Hence why I relaxed all weekend. But when I go to bed, I do sleep well. Then I go to sleep immediately. And when I wake up now, my length of time that I sleep is very short, but there's because it's tied to passion and to goals and driven. And so I think a lot of times that we're not tired, we're either healing or we're uninspired, right? They're the two
Right.
reasons.
Those are the two reasons. Yeah.
There are the two reasons. And I've been through traumatic injuries, as you know. And at those times, I tell people, listen, sometimes my best day was like getting from my bed to my couch. Like that was a good day. And I mean, mentally a good day, physically a good day. It was just a season in life that, where it was just different than now. And I didn't know then. That I would be back to like, 4 hour sleep nights and be good and full and just like I didn't know, but you get like you said, you just keep going.
Yeah. You
Right?
keep
I
going.
always say you keep going, keep
That's
going.
right.
Mhm.
Well, I gotta hand it to you because when I heard what you went through as far as in medical conditions and being sick, you really have a story on how to empower women. I thought I did, okay, what I went through, but nothing of what you had and how you bounced back was unbelievable. You remind me of my girl in the Bahamas, Alexandria. She was in a very bad accident a few years ago, and they told her she would never walk.
Mhm.
Look at her today. She's on the runway. She made top
Yeah.
model. She's been in New York Fashion Week. So I think it's all about, and people look at women's empowered differently, but I think it's all about how you handle things and how you can be a role model for the next person. When I had my heart attack, I thought, oh, it's the end of the world. But I had a very good friend of mine that called me up when she found out I had my heart attack 2 days later in the hospital, and she said, I don't want to hear it. She said, get out of that bed. I said, get out of that bed. I said, what are you kidding me? She said, get out of that bed. She said, you're a strong person. And I'll be honest, for a few weeks, I didn't even want to put 2 feet in front of me.
Mhm.
But as the days went on and I started to feel better and better, a month later, I was actually dancing at the Riverside Hotel. And the rest was history. And even
Mhm.
all that surgery I had last year, and I went through the heart catheterization just recently. But when they found out what the problem was and I got back on my feet, I said, that's it. I said, when they said,
Mhm.
really, we're just going to watch this and whatever. I was like this, bye, see you next time. Because I said, when I went in the hospital that day, I said, I don't have time to be sick. Let's get to the bottom of this, get it fixed, and let me go.
I
So,
love that. Yeah, our mindset plays such a role. And, I had those two events in my life. And the first with the paralysis, I didn't know. I didn't have the level of awareness or consciousness that
yeah,
I have now because this is after 10 years of deep inner work, becoming a transformational trainer, the whole journey. But
right,
then people are like, what was it? And I said, there was just something inside. I mean, I wasn't even affirming anything to myself. It literally was. It just was. I never not
right,
saw myself walking again. So when they would look at me like I was crazy and I'm looking at them like they're nuts, but it was a me against the world feeling. And it was a lot. It took a lot
yeah,
out of me on every level. And, then 10 years later, having overcome the car accident with the surgery that created the stroke, navigating through that posterior stroke, it was completely different. Like I realized that I was fully equipped with the tools, the techniques that I have been teaching others in emotional intelligence and in clarity. They were the
right,
exact things, Angela, that navigated my every single moment of living in the present moment, of getting through each day, and just the power of awareness and being equipped with tools and techniques that we navigate ourselves. The thing is that it's like exercise. Nobody can do that for you, right? As much as
exactly.
somebody will want, it's something you get to do yourself. And so that's what makes it very challenging sometimes. And it's not always easy to go into those dark places and look back and heal those things. But I'm telling you, on the other side of that is everything. And then when things come up in our life, like you, and you have the right people around you, like get out of bed,
Exactly.
girl. You are strong. You got this. But instead, people sometimes think they're supporting us when they're like, oh my goodness, you'll be okay. And coddling. Now, there's a fine line between sympathy, empathy, and then just like right up like, hey, do you even have any feelings? But there is like when you realize that you're empowering or disempowering people, you speak differently to people through their illnesses, through their challenges, and you're really empowering them with love. right? It's like this
Right.
powerful, loving force. But if you give in to people's stories, like you're not really a stand for what they truly want, you know? I always say that when I coach people too, and to my clients, I'm like, there will be times you love me, and there will be times you'll be like, why did I even hire you? You know, because I'm not there to be your friend in that moment. I'm there to be a stand for what you say you want. And one of us has to
Right.
get you out of your story because it's
Yes.
not, we don't get, you're right. We need somebody to guide us through that stuff.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly.
yeah.
Well, for everything that you've done, you should write a book, man. Would that be a bestseller? I could see it now.
Yeah, I know. I have two that I did like, where you do like the where you do it with other authors and like you give
Yes,
your chapter. So I've done that and one of them I loved and it was during COVID, so that was a great time to just have that
that was a good time.
experience.
Yes.
And so the book is coming. It's funny because I have a workbook that we're actually publishing first, and I get to get that done. So I'm launching in the UK in May. So I want to have something there and I won't have the book done by then. So I was like, but a workbook can get done, just to give people value and things that they can do to start moving forward.
Yeah, no, that's great. And I want to discuss those quartermaster events because oh my God, they are amazing. I've had so many people reach out to me from those events, and I think people have to go see it. That's what I always tell people. Look, you have to see it for your own eyes. I could tell you all
Hmm.
day what it's about, but you've got to go. You have to experience it, tell your story, and you'd be surprised how many people you will connect with. And if
Hmm.
sometimes if you want to get to that next level, that's what you need to do.
Yeah, you're talking about the quarterly
The
mastermind
quarterly
mixers.
master, yeah, they're great.
Yes. Yeah. So with that, that initiated, I have reached out to Christine. I went on her Tobago mastermind, which, she has all her events next week with that's
Right,
launching. That's a premiere party. And
right.
when we got back, I just, there was something about Christine and her whole dining empire and the divas that I was connected to right from the beginning. Adora Evans, Napoleon Hill, all the amazing things. And so I just reached out and I said, hey, I would love to do an event with you. Would you be open to that? And of course, she has 1,000 things on her plate, but she said yes. We didn't know what it would look like. And this is what it turned into quarterly mastermind mixers, where we limit it to 50 people, but you come, you get the mic, just like you shared, who you are, what you're doing, what support you need to close out your quarterly goals, and how do you support others? My dog is playing with this toy. It's not, sorry.
And I got my cat sleeping in the corner.
Oh, okay. I don't know if you can hear it. I'm like, shit, right. And then the support that you can give others to help them close out their goals. And then, yes, it's all about the networking afterwards, the connections, and it goes on,
Right.
and it's just beautiful. Benny Salas is part of it. And I think what it
Oh
is,
yeah, Benny Salas. Yeah,
yeah,
he's great.
as organizers, we just each bring our own personalities and insight, intention into the space. And it's just wow. I mean, people who show up, but you were there, you witnessed it, and it just gets better every time. Yeah, we'll
Yeah,
have the next one in May this year.
oh, that'll be good. Yeah.
Mhm.
It's a great event. I mean, look, even Victor. Victor's a character in himself. Yeah, especially when he imitates the Jersey cops, because he was from Jersey, and I said, "Oh God," I said, "Another Jerseyite." But no, they're great events, and that's why I tell people have asked me about attending, and I said, "No, you really have to go." I said, "See what
Mhm.
it's like." I said because you can offer something to someone there, and then someone else could offer something to you. It's like I got this one girl, Pooja, who's in the medical field.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Now she's come to a couple of my events. Okay, she came to my event when we did it at the Tower Club for the Oscars and the fashion show, and
Hmm.
now she's considering about coming into the pageant. She said,
I
"I've never."
love it.
Yeah, she's. I've never done a pageant before. I said, "Don't worry about it." I said, "We could guide you." So I think she'd be absolutely fantastic for that. So again, but if I wasn't there, I wouldn't know who's who and who might want to be interested in what I'm doing, and then
Well,
vice versa.
hi, that's where you and I met.
That's it, right. That's where you and I met. Yeah,
Yes, look at us now. We have so many things in the
exactly.
pipeline together, right? Yeah, it's
Yeah,
beautiful. It really is the right well, that's part of what I'm so passionate about is really creating space, like I said,
right.
for others to come and shine and share their light, be surrounded by the right people. Because I know the difference of being around people that are high vibing, energetic, well healing, authentic, and I know the opposite, right? I still remember I was the opposite, right? And then I got to the other side, and it's still just being in environments with people who support you. That's just this,
Right.
you just, or encourage you. The inspiration and motivation, it stays for a bit, but at least it'll trigger in your internal motivation, right? To get moving. And then you hear stories and you realize, like, you stop comparing your beginning to someone else's end, and you start to realize that everyone had a beginning. And,
Yeah.
hold on, I'm going to try to steal his toy.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, we got him on the
Oh,
show. There he
look. Oh,
is.
we
This is
got a
Macho.
special guest on the show. Look
Yeah.
at that. Oh
So
my
he'll be
God.
quiet.
Look. Oh, how cute. Yeah, mine's over there sound asleep. She won't get up. She's probably mad at me right now because I'm not paying her any attention, but that's okay.
Exactly. Well, that's what this one he knows. They're like children. That's why he grabbed the squeaky toy and starts as soon as I'm on here. Any
Oh,
other time
that's
he'd be
cute.
napping right now. Hmm.
So now we have ladies and gentlemen, we have a special guest. What's the dog's name?
Macho.
Oh, so Macho, welcome to Make Our World Your Runway. Oh, how
Thank
cute.
you.
That is really cute. So, yeah, believe me, if the other cat was here, she'd be on my shoulders right now. But this one, no, if I'm not paying attention to her, she just goes in that
Sleeping.
corner and goes to sleep. And then as soon as I start paying attention to her, she's all over the place. Yeah. But
Oh.
but yeah, animals can be very soothing, especially if
Mm.
you're going through something. I know Jade is pretty soothing like that. If something's bothering me at night, she'll go in the corner of the bed, she'll start purring, and that's
Yeah.
when I get really relaxed. So,
Mm.
but yeah, I think that all the things that you're doing to empower women is absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, thank you. And I love, it's just, I'm just so grateful for the people who've gone before me and now the people who stand beside me. I always will say, like, it doesn't exist unless people show up, right? It doesn't
Right.
exist unless we have the support of others. Like, I started Chicks and Coffee a little over 2 years ago, and that
Right.
community is, yeah, just to create friendship and connection. I was in a very dark space at the time, and darkness can't exist in the light. And so no one is coming to save you. Right.
No.
So when we're looking for something, sometimes you got to dig so far deep down inside and just pull yourself out of it. And I mean, I have been there, so I know. And that was just the birthing of me wanting local community. And so it's been over 2 years. But I say to them, I'm like, listen, like if it wasn't for you ladies showing up, it would just be like chick and coffee. Like there'd be no
Yeah,
chicks, right?
exactly.
It wouldn't
Exactly.
exist. So, and then Blueprints and Breakthroughs, which we just launched this year, which is
Wow.
at Galuppi's in Pompano, which is monthly, but now that's business focused. So we have someone coming in, I mentioned to you on April 17th, teaching all about how do you obtain grants? How do you obtain
I know, I
funding?
gotta
People
attend
have
that. That's gonna
no
be great. Yeah.
idea, right? I had no idea. I used to think they were for nonprofits only,
That's
or
what
I
I
didn't
thought. Yeah.
qualify. Right. So I applied for 3 grants last week. I'm so excited. I can't wait. And so now that I started the process, once you learn this, ladies, like it's amazing. Like who doesn't want free money? I know I could use it. I'm
Yeah.
growing
Yeah.
faster than I can grow my team,
It,
honestly.
it
Like
is it
in
is amazing because Al Otero, who you've met from the Global Trade Chamber, I know he was
Mhm.
at one time I believe he was very involved with doing grants. Now he does business capital, which is great. That's because a
Yeah.
lot of people don't know how to do that. Like when I started this pageant and I met Al, okay, I started out as Miss Latina International because I knew that the Latin market down here was very strong. And when I first went to Al, he said, "A pageant?" He was like, come on. Okay. But it was another way to really empower women.
Mhm.
And one of the things that Al helped me with, and a lot of people don't know, Al Otero was really like one of the founders with me with Miss Latina International. And he said, you need some kind of a scholarship program. So at that time, he knew somebody at Nova Southeastern University. I went to them. It was amazing. For 2 years in a row, they gave me scholarships to the tune of $40,000 for the teen division and $40,000 for the miss. That was $80,000. It was 10,000 a year for 4 years. So it wasn't a full
Wow.
scholarship, but I had one girl that said, now I can finish my law degree. Okay.
Hmm.
And that's the reason why I'd like to apply for grants because if I can get that type of money and offer that, because I have a lot of women that, even though and I always say, age is a state of mind, okay? You're never too old to try to do something. But I have a lot of women that are older, not teens or whatever, and say, you know what, I'd like to go back to school. I'd like to further my education.
Hmm.
And if I'm able to provide them some sort of money in the form of a scholarship or a check and say, this is what we've done, there's a great opportunity right there.
I love that because to me, if you were giving me a scholarship, like if I earned a scholarship to
Right.
go get some type of education, like there's that to me would even drive my internal like motivation and that is
Yes.
even more, right? Because listen, it's just I think when we're servant heart leaders, I've learned to put myself on the front burner now and not on the back. That's a whole misconception, but there is still something that if I'm doing it and like even when I fill up my events, when the vendors, I know vendors have paid to
Right.
be there, like I will fill that room for those vendors, right? Because like before I do it for myself. So if you give me a scholarship, I will go do better in school and make sure that I complete it, right? Knowing that like it was a gift from somebody or there was someone else
Yes.
outside of me involved, right? Yeah.
Right.
So I think that's beautiful.
Yeah, because it will empower more women to want to come in. And of course, the
Hmm.
teens, it's great because, if they're going to go to college and I think
Hmm.
they have up to 2 years to even use the scholarship funds if it's from a college. If it's cash, well, of course, you could use it any time. But this is something that I really want to do again because, again, it's just another way of empowering these young girls, all women that come in to say, hey, here's another opportunity for you to
Hmm.
do what you want to do or get an education. It's also, I'm working with a very good friend of mine who used to be the CEO for Bahamas Paradise Cruise Lines. He now owns the Enthusiast Hotels, okay? And he's got one down in the Keys. He's got one down in fact, in the Bahamas, he's got Abaco. And then he's got the one in Nassau called the Stone's Throw Away. And he's saying to me, let's do something there. Let's make the girls brand ambassadors for these hotels. Now, here's another opportunity. They can go to the Bahamas. All they got to do is make the flight, and they're going to stay at this hotel free of charge.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So this is another way to empower these women. Okay. So what I'm trying to do is just open up doors, like even being with the Global Trade Chamber and then being part of 100 Successful Women in Business. Like I had said last week, you never know where it's going to take you. When I went to England, okay, and I met so many ladies there, and several of them said, I want to do the pageant. And they came into the
Mm.
pageant. Now, if I wasn't there, I would have not had that opportunity. And sometimes in life you can't go somewhere, but there's always something that you can do, some way
Yeah.
that you can reach out to someone. I don't care if you're in bed with the flu. There's always the phone.
I agree with you. And it's amazing to me how often people will find a reason or an excuse to
Oh,
not be able to go somewhere. And you're just like, and you know the power of that room. And it's like so many people will stop their own success or exactly what they say they want to have because they're still in their own way. Like we are our own worst enemy, right? I mean,
thank you.
and there's always another level of healing. I'm constantly learning and growing and
Me too.
learning this hard lessons of discernment. Like I got slapped with a few of
I'm the
those this
same. I'm the same
couple
way. Yep.
years. But so to really, like you said, though, when you can show up, find a way. When you find a way and you really can vision what it is you want and imagine yourself already there and be able to really have control over those emotions. It's mindset mastery is what it is because the universe will literally move things out of your way and hand you everything you need to get to where you're supposed to be.
That's
Right?
it.
Like,
That's it.
right,
Yeah. And
right.
I always say, and you could be in a room full of people and get 100 cards. And you'll always know the ones that, hey, they're going to be
Yeah.
serious. They want to get involved with like aloe Terrells is the ones that instead of asking you, what do you do? Oh, here's my card. That's it.
Hmm.
So you're always going to get that. But there's always the serious people out there that really want to get involved. The ones that will take the time at an event to talk to you for 20 minutes to a half hour. That's the ones you know. Okay.
Hmm.
So you're always going to get that. But I'm excited about your event coming up on the 26th and
Oh,
to June
yeah.
26th. And I might have a little surprise for you because we've been wanting to do a documentary about this international world and the places that they go and what they do. So we might want to film something at your event.
Let's go, Angela. I was so excited when we talked the other day.
Yes.
Listen, and this is, here it's a prime example of the universe just showing and delivering. I declared a couple weeks ago, I said, oh, I got to get on to June 26th. It's going to be
Right.
here. And after doing everything I did in New York City and all the stuff this year. And I just made that declaration. Do you know who I spoke to 2 days later? You. Like we had our
Right.
call
There
that
you go.
Saturday, and I was like, well, thank you, God. Like the declaration is so when people understand it, right? When we
Yes.
decide to side is to cut off any other possibility. So when you say it is time, I'm doing this now, I promise you, the universe delivers. How better of it, like, hi, you're like a beautiful gift in everyone's life. And then to be able to speak and see how we talked a lot about making it win-win, right? Those
Right.
win-win situations. When I learned that in transformational training, um, I was the girl in the back of the room, kind of like judging people during the one exercise that we do. And okay, we don't really talk about what goes on in the training room, but I was that girl. But in the end, I understood and I started to understand win-win. And now everything in my life, I bring out win-win. And sometimes you might get burned, right? A little
Yeah,
bit,
that's true.
right?
That's
That's my
true.
lessons of discernment, and that's okay. Because on the other side of that is your power, right? You start to
Right.
empower yourself even greater. And I am excited about June 26th and Deerfield Beach. That's the Resilience Rising International Summit, followed by red carpet, gala, awards, and fashion show. And I cannot wait. So super excited about that.
It's going to be great. Well, anyway, I just got the flash. We only got about 6 minutes left, maybe about five.
Okay.
So just give me let my viewers know what your closing remarks are, how they can get you.
Okay, well, I can't speak more than what we kind of touched on about being in the right room and
Right.
saying yes to opportunities. I said yes to going to an open house for the Global Trade Chamber a couple weeks ago, and I stood in the room. Angela had invited me, and I stood in the room, and I just kind of like it's like those God wings. I call them God wings, right? It could not be more aligned than where he's positioned me right now in my life and what we're up to. So I know sometimes we're tired. I know we feel overwhelmed and there's a lot on our plate. But I promise you that just say yes to things that maybe normally you wouldn't. And you would just be so incredibly like amazed at what shows up in your life and to just keep going and
Exactly.
get involved with things that really help you evolve mentally and your emotional intelligence. Come join us at Blueprints and Breakthroughs, join Chicks and Coffee. I mean, there's so many things, join somebody else's stuff, whatever, but get in those rooms and get around the right people.
Exactly. Exactly. I agree with you 100%. Well, listen, my dear, it was such a pleasure to have you on the show.
Well, I'm
Anytime.
Janelle. I don't know who Melissa is, but you're fired.
Well,
But I'm hiring you right back.
anytime you want to come back on the show and bring a little lover boy with you, that's fine.
Oh, thank you.
But anyway, I want to tell our viewers, okay, you've got some great information here. All the ladies that listen to the show, remember, you can always be empowered. You can empower someone and they can empower you. And again, we want to thank everyone for tuning in to Make Our World Your Runway because, every week we have a fabulous guest. And of course, in the next coming weeks, we're going to be covering Dining Divas. We'll be covering some fashion shows. So now we're going to start going out live at a lot of these events. So it's going to be great. But once again, Janelle, thank you so much. And to
Thank
all our
you.
viewers out there, stay tuned because we're going to have another fabulous event coming up next week. So have a great week, Janelle. Of course, you and I will be talking in a few days.
Yep. Thank you.
Thank you, dear. Have a good one.
You too.